Hey guys, how y'all doing? Hope you're doing good. If you're not, you can always try again tomorrow. So let's get into it. As we get older, as we mature more, as we get wiser, as we get smarter, as we start looking at relationships, friendships, kinships, and we start looking at different things, you start to notice who really cares about you and who doesn't, and who you really care about and who you don't really care about. As you get older and get out of that hole, we have to be friends because we went to school together. We have to be friends because we grew up together. We have to be friends because whatever the reasons may be. Or you have to hang with your family because that's your family, or you have to do this because this is this. And you start thinking about different things, especially when you have some time alone. Some people do not spend time with themselves alone, hearing their own thoughts, hearing what they think. So I had service with provider. We're going to say provider A. I'm not going to say no names. I had this phone for about a year and a half. The service, I don't know, for some reason the group texts weren't going through. I don't know what it was. They were saying, oh, because it's Samsung is switching over to Google Messages. That's why your messages not going through. So I switched to the Google Messages. Still, group texts weren't going through. So they were telling me, oh, you have to take your phone and put it through insurance. And I'm like, why do I have to put it through insurance when it's a technical, like it's not, whatever. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So I go to a different provider. I go to that provider. Phone is just not working. Like it's just not working in certain places. I'm in the woods sometimes. Like it's not working. So I'm like, all right, fine. I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna get something else. I get something else. Now before that, provider A, I had changed my number because I didn't know that when you block somebody, you can still see their messages. So I was like, I don't want to see nothing from this person. I don't want to hear anything from this person. I just changed my number. That's one number change. So when I went to provider B, I got a new number. I gave out that number to I don't know how many people. But then when I went to provider C, which I should have just went to in the first place, but whatever. Provider C, I didn't give out that number. So this number that I have right now, I could probably count on my fingers how many people have this number. And honestly, I don't think I'm giving the number out to a lot of people. Because now we have social media. We have social media. Like you could DM somebody, you can call them, video chat with them from social media. So if anything, like if certain people want to get in touch with me, that's what they can do. But I started to notice that I'd rather not have my phone ring by some people because they pretend like they're calling to check on you. They're calling to either dump on you or tell you what's going on in their life. I'm very understanding of sometimes people need to vent, sometimes people need to talk. But I'm also to the point where some of y'all need to go to therapy and go talk to the lady on the couch and stop dumping all your issues off on your friends. So for example, here's one reason why I don't want to give out my phone number anymore. There was an incident that I had back in November 2024, right? They called me around maybe May 2025. And I'm only saying dates for you guys because some of you might see this video in 2026. So I'm like, they asked me a question about the incident that happened in November, and they were like, I just wanted to see how you were doing. And I'm like, it's May, like it's months later. And you're calling me to ask me about a situation that happened in November. In my head, you might as well not even ask. That's just me. You might as well not even ask. I'm like, I'm great. Like really wanted to say, what do you really want? Because you don't want to know how I'm doing. You just calling in May because you aren't busy. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I'm not going back to talk about that. Especially not with them. So I was like, I'm good. And then they started to tell me all the stuff that was going on in their life. And and this is happening, and this is happening, and everything's so good, and everything's so great. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm the type of person, I'm happy for everybody, even strangers. Like, I'm happy for people. But your true intention was not to call and see how I was doing and tell me how great your life was. Or sometimes people's true intention is to call and say how bad their life is going right now. And like I said, I'm understanding of people wanting to talk and vent and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't like the phoniness of calling me pretending that you care about something that I was going through when you didn't. So I started to clock that, and I started to like go back and think about times when this person would call me, and they would call me and they would say certain things. And I was like, oh, this is just them dumping their problems, or them wanting me to know everything's going on good in their life, but they're not really calling to see how I'm doing. And like I said, you don't have to call and check on me, but don't do the phoniness and act like you care, because you don't. So this person, they wanted to do certain things, and they were like, let's do this, let's do that. And they would call me the day of and be like, come on, let's go here, let's go there. And sometimes I will go, and a lot of times I will go. And finally I got to the point where I said, let me tell them I can't make it. I'm busy, I'm doing something. And sometimes I was busy, and sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes I just didn't want to go, but I'm busy minding my business. So they hit me up one time and they wanted to do something, and I was like, well, set some days aside so we can do that. Never heard anything from them. They hit me up another time. They're like, let's go, blah, 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 blah. Now, when they're saying this, they want to go that day. There's never any plan. There's never anything scheduled. There's never any, how can we, there's never any, let's set a date or anything like that. It's always under the guise of being spontaneous. So then I started to notice different things, and I was like, this is not under the guise of being spontaneous. This is under the guise of, you treat me like an afterthought. So now that I don't want to be treated like an afterthought, there's a problem with that. And now I'm acting funny, or you're so busy. There's little digs here and there. So are you really friends with somebody? Are you really friends? Or are you just acquaintances? Because at that point, I just feel like we're acquaintances. I don't feel that we're friends. And this person used to be like, oh, you're like my sister, you're like my sister. But really? Or I'm just that person you call when you're bored, or when other people aren't around, or when somebody cancels on you. I'm that person that you call. And I'm supposed to just hop up and go because you're bored or somebody canceled on you. But we're friends, right? So I notice the less my phone rings, the less people that I have, for whatever the reason is, people like to talk to me. And I am very understanding, like I said, about venting and stuff. But to a certain extent, after a while, it's just like, you're just calling me to dump on me. You're just calling me to tell me everything that's going on in your life, good, bad, or indifference. And then when it's my turn, I gotta wait months later. Like, so this is to the point where I'm just like, I got a handful of friends. And now it's getting to the point where it's not even going to be a handful. And this is not only going for friends, this is also going for family members as well. Like, certain family members, they're not getting my number either. And I know people are going to feel some type of way about it, but at the same time, people really only think about themselves. And I know, coming from a coaching background and teaching people how to love themselves first and treat themselves better, but that doesn't mean you have to treat other people like dirt. So when you come to the understanding that everybody is not your friend, just like your mama used to tell you, that doesn't just include friends. That also includes family members. That also includes coworkers. That also includes people that should just be an acquaintance when they should have never got to the friend level anyway. I was watching a YouTube video and the girl was saying how she was more of a friend to someone than they were to her. And I think when you're friends with people, you really don't talk about your friendship as in, are we really friends or are we acquaintances? And nobody, because when people get into a romantic relationship, they be like, well, where do we stand? But nobody does that in friendships. And maybe we should. Because how do you know where you stand with a person if you never asked them? Even if it is a friend. Like, if you ask some of your family members, do you consider me a friend? Do you consider me just family? Because a lot of my cousins I do consider friends. So it's different for everybody. I think now, especially the way the world is going right now, you really need to know who you consider a friend, who you consider just, a family member or just whatever. Because at this point, well, everything that's going on in the world, you need to know who your real friends are.